Greetings and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble, and today we're going to be talking about the blue cards for Kaldheim set releasing very soon, which is why I'm going to be trying to get things out pretty quickly, but who knows, maybe not. Also, I don't know why, but apparently I'm having a little doom scar over there where the bottom portion of my screen is phasing out of existence. Now then, without further ado, let's evaluate some cards. I don't know what this motion is, but if an anime character did it at some point, then I'll do it too. Alright, moving forward, all around, we're starting off with a big one! Big ol' Odin right here. So 5 mana 1/1 sounds really bad. All run gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. There's been a few cards that have that sort of effect. The only one that comes to mind right now is Psychosis Crawler, but there's been a few. Muka, Slide for the Sky Dragon. Okay, we're on point now. And each Foretold card you own in exile. So that's pretty nice that it counts that, considering Foretell is like, you know, the mechanic. They don't want to punish you for like Foretell this card, but he is weaker, so pretty good. I can easily see this guy having like, you know, being like a 4/4/5/5 and upwards. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card type, then reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put all cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It's worth noting that this is only a draw 2 if the 2 cards share a type. If not, I guess just say of the same type, because how often do you see like, oh, this is just a land sorcery, what? On the same face, obviously. So let's see, but this is actually like pretty good. But how are you gonna know what the top 2 cards are in your library? You know, I mean, aside from some weird, like, you know, I guess you could try to do this with Chimeric Calls the Dead with the Scry ability at the end of there. Not so good. Well, what if we just had a Scry on the other side? Hey, the other side of Allrund is Haka Whispering Raven. 2 mana 2/3 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, put it back in your hand and then Scry 2. So the synergy here is like on point. Where 2 mana 2/3 flyer is great, by the way. Just I could see you seeing like playing this card just for having this card just for a 2/3 flyer. Yeah, it punches and then it has to go back, but it's still good. But you manage to attack with this, scry 2, and then if you have 5 more mana, you play this guy, and you know, hopefully, and you have more information, and you can at least maybe like draw 1 card off this thing. I don't think you would ever, unless you're digging for a very specific card, ever put both cards on the bottom of your library, because you kind of want to guarantee the draw 1, because like it's gonna feel really bad and you play this guy and you say, oh, I'm gonna call sorcery, and it 2 lands on top, and not only are you not drawing anything, but you know the next 2 cards are kind of bad. I guess though, then like, you know, oh, you put them on the bottom actually though, so that's not terrible. So even if you miss, like, you just call what you need, and if it's not what you need, you don't draw it, but it goes to the bottom and increases your chance of drawing later on. Ooh, Allrund, I like where you're going with this. Unfortunately, you cost 5 mana, so you're kind of in a weird spot here. I don't love you. You're kind of more of a control-y thing, but also you get more power. Like, you get stronger, so you're like a threat. Overall, in limited, this card's fantastic just for the Raven, hell. And the card advantage, this card's insane. In standard, can we protect this man with our life? The fact that he also fuels himself a bit because you probably add a card to your hand, which makes him more powerful. Ooh. Oh yeah. Oh, I like this a lot more now. Okay. Yeah. Standard like a 4 to 5, like a definitely like 7, like 8 out of 10, and standard limited 10, 11, 12. Kabillion out of 10. Okay. And now he's epiphanying. I don't know what the word is now. Epiphany. All right. 7 mana. I guess you have to have your struggle to say 7 mana. Oh my god. This is your you know, take an extra turn card. You know, it is not Nexus of Fate, by the way. Important to know. 7 mana, create 2 1/1 bird creature token to the flying. Take an extra turn, and then you exile this card, so it's gone. But you can do it for 6 mana if you foretell it, which is actually kind of nice. I appreciate that they put, you know, a foretell thing on something kind of sort of relevant. A very important thing about this card is in the past with oh, I didn't even talk about foretell. I'll talk about it after I get through this little thought. So in the past, when you play like a Time Walk or Nexus of Fatal, and Nexus of Fate was busted because it went back to your deck, so not Nexus of Fate, but other things that you take extra turns. The thing was, often it would be, okay, take a turn, draw a card, play a land, go, you know? It was essentially just exploring. But the fact that this actually makes 2 birds, even though it's just 2 1/1s, the fact that it puts something on the board for you to actually do with the next turn, okay, extra turn, attack with my 2 birds. Okay, you know what? It's not bad. I like where you're going with that. Instead of just, you know, play a land, draw a card. Instead of Growth Spiral. right? Now about the foretell mechanic though, because I feel like I should probably mention what this is. So, foretell is always like there's always you always pay 2 mana to foretell. Then to cast the card is the specific cast next to the foretell word. You pay 2 mana, exile the card face down, and then you can play it on a later turn. You exile it at any point during your turn. Any point you have priority during your turn. So you can foretell, exile the card at instant speed. We can only cast it during the regular casting timing for the card. So this is a sorcery, you can only play it on sorcery speed. Right? Cool. Also worth noting, you can only play it on a later turn. You cannot play it the same turn as foretold. Just as a thing there, because I guess things can get buffs like when you foretell them, so you don't just be like, well, foretell and cast and, you know, do that whole thing. So, that's cool. Overall, though, I think it's kind of funny. I don't think it's great in either format. It's just kind of a nice little thing. I like where they're going with these take extra turn cards, but I don't think it's game breaking at all. Annul 1 mana counter target artifact or enchantment spell. I think this is a reprint, yeah. I don't think artifacts or enchantments are gonna be all that great though. In limited, like there's a lot of sagas, so there's some potential, but maybe as like a very extremely last card you take. Otherwise, don't take it. And in limited, just play some other counter spell. Don't do those. I was saying, did I get this backwards? In standard, don't play that. In limited, maybe. But like again, you don't want to. Ascendant Spirit. So to anyone who is familiar with the vintage cube that was going around on MTGO recently, this harkens back to the Figure of Destiny, although it is not nearly as good. At least that's what the consensus is. 1 mana, 1/1 Spirit. For anyone wondering, that is snow mana on the side. This is a snow creature. Snow mana is produced by snow permanents, which in this case are snow-colored lands. Snow-covered lands. Any one, it doesn't have to be specifically be like a blue because the card's blue. You can tap a snow mountain and do that. You can tap the snow faceless sanctuary or whatever. I forget what it's called exactly. But the one that produces colorless mana, but it's snow mana. Any permanent, if it's a snow creature, a snow Arkham Astrolabe was like the big one. In modern that was bonkers. Any snow permanent that can produce mana produces snow mana. Cool. You can pay 2 and it becomes a 2/3 Spirit Warrior. You can pay 3, and if it's a warrior, then it gets a flying counter and it becomes a warrior angel and it gets to be a 4/4. And then if it's an angel, you can pay 4 and put 2 things on it, so it becomes a 6/6. When it deals damage, draw a card. Is it vigilant? Not vigilant, but you know, an angel flyer. So 6/6 flyer, punch, draw a card. Worth noting here, because there's like, you know, changelings, there's other things that can give other creature types to things. If you make this an angel through some other spell interacting with it, you can just go straight to 4. You don't have to level up, as it were. So it's interesting. And limited, this card's actually really nice because you can just put mana into it. Worth noting though, you need to draft or pull your spell mana, your snow mana. You cannot just take them from the land pool in general and add whatever you want. You actually have to get them from the limited source. So, oh god, in that sense, it's bad. Okay, never mind. It's bad. It's bad. In standard, it's all right. It's kind of neat as a snow creature, but like, what are you doing? Like, I think there's just other things to play. I guess if you want to invest, 6 mana into it, play it for 1, then 2, and then 3. Sure, you get a 4/4 angel thingy. I would rather just play a bigger flyer. Blue-ass flyers, they're not really lacking in that department. So what are we doing? Okay, so I don't like the card. I don't like the card at all. Is it rare? God, why are you rare? Just for the nostalgia? Oh my goodness, get out of here. Augury Raven, 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. You can foretell, it costs a little less, but it still ultimately costs the same. It's okay. Limited, it's fine. It's a flyer, nothing wrong. Standard, get out of my house. Why are you in my house? We're still quarantining. Leave my house. Alright, 2 mana, Avalanche Caller. This is a snow guy. Well, 1/3, you can pay 2, target snow land you control. Becomes a 4/4 elemental creature with hexproof and haste until end of turn. Does not gain vigilance, so you basically cost 3 mana because you probably want to attack with it. Although you can block. And the fact that it has hexproof is like just really nice. I mean, how many times have you had a Crawling Barrens get like sniped by, you know, oh, kill spell, oh man, eliminate, oh man, don't eliminate my Crawling Barrens. It crawled all this way, uphill both ways. It's funny because it's also a land, right? This guy's pretty good. Like, he's not Nissa, obviously, but Nissa was insane. Just the fact that it comes out and makes something a 4/4, It has to be a snow land, but odds are all your lands are gonna be snow lands anyway, save for like maybe 1 or 2. I don't know. Yeah, this card's pretty cool. I don't know what to say about it really. In limited, I wouldn't play this too much because it's often gonna be a 2-mana 1/3, unless you draft every snow land. Good luck with that. I mean, it could work, but good luck still. And standard, I think it's actually just overshadowed by like Crawling Barrens. Although, you know, you pay 2, so if you have like 6 mana, you can have 2 things attacking. It's not bad. It's really not bad. The hexproof puts it over the edge there, because often you would, again, block with like play Crawling Barrens, attack, or block, and then it gets killed and then you're down a mana. I could see this in a slower blue deck. Of all things, I'm going to say slower, even those things. I could see this in more of a control deck as like an alternate win con. Like, by the way, I'm going to have this and just have it immediately attack you. So it's okay. I don't think this card's great, though. I know some people think this card is like amazing, like crazy, you know, instantly including everything. I don't think it's that great. It's like, I think it's neat. But I think we have a land that does the thing already enough. Does the thing already enough. Those are words. I'm wording good today. All right, Behold the Multiverse. 4 mana, instant speed. Scry 2, then draw 2, and you can foretell it for 2, and then pay 2 later on. It's 2 is all aboard. Okay, cool. And notice that the 4 mana is actually just 2 to the 2. Okay, I'm done. But anyway, this card's actually really nice. I don't hate on this card at all. This is Chemister's Insight, but instead of playing it twice, you actually get to scry 2, so essentially you still go 4 cards deep. And the scry is great with Allrund, and it's just and you can just pay 2 mana here and then pay 2 mana later on. Oh, the card's so good. I love this card. This card's so nice. It's gonna see play in standard for sure, and limited, why not? Oh my goodness. Wonderful. Nico, well done. That's Nico, by the way. You messed with the wrong Nico. That's a League reference. Moving on. Bergstrider, 5 mana, 4/4, Snow Giant Wizard. Those are creature types. In red and blue, we do have a lot of Frost and Fire giants, and most of the giants are wizards, I believe. A good portion of them. I don't know if it's most, but it's definitely a type they're trying to push. When Bergstrider enters the battlefield, tap target artifact or creature. If snow is spent to cast this spell, that permanent doesn't untap during its next untap step. It's kind of boring. I don't actually like this card at all. In limited, you might be tempted to take this card if you have any snow mana. Worst case is a 5 mana 4/4, which is not good. And it taps something, but it just untaps later on. In standard, no, don't even. These effects don't. We had Shark to Crab for a little while, and that saw 0 play, so no. Nope. Okay. Moving forward. In limited, though, like, it's okay, but don't count on, you know, getting a whole lot of value out of it. If you have a better thing, even if you have like a 3 mana 3/3, I would play that over a 5 mana 4/4. You know? Alright. Anything that costs 1 is worth some attention, is worth some consideration. I'm going to preface this. Okay. Bind the Monster, a 1 mana aura enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. It deals damage to you equal to its power. Doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So 1 mana blue pacifism is good, okay? 1 mana blue, remove the thing. It gets 1 more like smack in there. Like, you know, you call animal control. It's like, oh, I'm gonna scratch you before I get in there. It's like 1 little bite, 1 nibble before you put me in the cage. Okay, cool. But then it's in the cage. Yeah, that's a fantastic effect that for some reason is in blue. I mean, I understand like keeping a creature tapped and whatnot, that effect is a very, very blue thing to do. But goddamn, for 1 mana, that's really good. And limited, absolutely. In standard, this could definitely see some play. I mean, it's gonna be tough against aggressive decks, but it's gonna feel bad when you put this on your opponent's like Lovestruck Beast. It's like, so I'm gonna pay 1, take 5, but your creature's still tapped. But then again, they still have it on the board, so their henge is reduced. Consider things there, but this card's really good. Like, don't sleep on this card. This card can definitely see some play. If there's any kind of blue deck that wants to actively, like, attack with creatures, I'm gonna say, because otherwise, like, board wipes are fine. But if you actually have creatures you want to attack with and not wipe the board, tap your opponent's things, swing in, live your best life. Alright, Brine Barrow Intruder, a 1 mana. It's a rogue, has flash, so it could fit into rogue decks, but doesn't though. When it on ETB, target creature and opponent controls gets -2, -0. So they like to print these kind of effects in each set as well. I think it was like, what was it, Fairy Vandal or Fairy Miscreant? It was like the other one a little while ago. I guess that was an Eldraine. Um, it's fine. It doesn't actually fit in the rogue deck at all. Just because it's a rogue, it's like the weakest of the rogues, so I wouldn't play this. But it's interesting. In limited, don't. If it was 2-1, I would say maybe, because you could potentially trade up into like a higher cost creature. The fact that it only has 1 power means whatever thing your opponent's attacking with, if it only has like 1 toughness, they're planning on it dying anyway. Unless it's the assault cart, which is not available in draft boosters. Hey, look at that. Why? We don't know. Okay. So, yeah, bad card. Cosima? Cosima. I just want to call her Casimia, but there's only 1 I. I'm going to say Cosima. God of the Voyage. This is a very strange card. There's a lot of words on this card. I don't quite understand this card. 3 mana, 2/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile her. Okay, so she has to be on the board. So, you know, turn 3, you play her, she survives. Upkeep, you can exile her. Then going into turn 4. Alright, if you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If she is exiled, you may put a voyage counter on her. If you don't, put her back on the battlefield with X plus 1/1 counters on it, and draw X cards, where X is the number of voyage counters. So you essentially say 3 mana, do nothing, if you want to do that, which is a really big thing to not do, which is a huge cost of paying this card. I think that alone might just make this unplayable. If you just completely skip your turn 3, it's useless. You play land, then you want to get some landfall stuff going on, which we still have Fabled Passage, so it's not the hardest thing in the world to do. And then every land essentially says draw a card. Play a land, draw a card, right? You have to cash in on that later. Now, it's nice that you play, like, you know, your last land, you activate the ability, comes into play. This is going to say you do it 3 turns later, so it's like, let's see. Of course, it's going to be summoning 6 still, though, so it's largely just like a delayed card draw. And you know what kind of draws cards in a similar way? You know, you play a land, draw a card? Gadwick. You know who sees no play? Gadwick. Don't like it. Like, you can, like, go back and forth with this, like, okay, play it, okay, oh, I want to draw the cards, so I'll play a land, draw the cards now, and then next turn, exile it again. Like, she can keep going on voyages and keep losing you value, I guess. Like, in some cases, you can attack first and then go on the voyage. I don't like it because it's so bad. I could see this. I can try this as, like, a one-of in a control deck, but I have 0 hopes of this thing ever getting anywhere. At least it has 4 toughness, so there's a chance that it's going to survive the turn to actually exile itself. But, oh god, that's weird. Okay, on the other side, though, I actually think this is the better side. The Omen Keel, 2 mana, 3/3 vehicle for crew 1. The crew 1 is what makes it, really. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of the library. You may play land cards from among those cards as long as they remain exiled. This card is fantastic. This card is great. A 2 mana 3/3 crew for 1, which you can do like, you know, immediately, whatever. It's super easy to crew, and the ability is very relevant. Odd blue ramp. I don't know where they're going with that. Obviously, there's synergy between the two. I guess this is her boat. Camera, hello? Hey, I'm back. Okay, I went a little voyage there myself. This card's great. I don't know if vehicles is like gonna be a deck, but this just acting on its own is great. God damn, I think she's just too slow though for her, like, drawback of weird card draw. But the other side is cool, so I like this. You would play this in limited if you had it, and I think you're gonna play this in standard as well, so there's that. Okay, Cosmos Charger. 4 mana 3/3 flash flyer. Foretelling cards from your hand cost 1 less to cast and can be done on any player's turn. And then you can foretell this itself and pay 3 and get it on the board later on. And as flash, you can play it whenever you want to. You can foretell it only during your turn unless you have another one on the board. Foretell.deck. Are the foretell cards that good? They're pretty decent. Pretty decent. And the fact that there's a lot where the casting cost after you foretell is literally just like 2 less than the CMC, so it's like built in, so the total is the same both ways. The fact that this actually just kind of makes it like cost 1 less total is great. And you can foretell it during your opponent's turn, and then play it during your turn. You can foretell it during your turn, and then play it during your opponent's turn if it has flash. Oh god, that's really nice. That is super, super. I can imagine just flashing this in, having extra mana, and just foretelling like 2 or 3 cards during your opponent's turn. And then your turn comes around and play things for a discount or like for bonus effects. Oh, I love this card so much. In limited, this is good. Take all the foretell cards, take this, win the game. In standard, it has flying too. It doesn't even have to have flying. Can you afford to play this for 4 mana? Can you afford to play it on 3 mana? For a couple of foretell things, I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know. I don't exactly have a list of all the foretell payoffs here. Doomscar comes to mind. The card draw thing we just went over with Nico on the side, and the draw 2, scry 2, whatever, does come to mind as well. Yeah, I like this card a lot. A lot of people are saying this card is overrated. I think this card's rated just enough. So yeah, definitely 9 out of 10 in constructed. Don't at me. And in limited, a little less. I would put it like an 8 out of 10 because you do have to take the foretell cards. But this card's still good. Oh my god, it's good. Cyclone Summoner, 7 mana, 7/7 giant wizard. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, I guess instead of reviving it from the graveyard, return all permanents to their owner's hands except for wizards, giants, and lands. Pretty cool. In limited, this is like an amazing card. You play it and you probably just win the game. Obviously, you want to try to get more wizards and things that aren't going to get bounced by it. But even so, if you play a 7 mana, 7/7, bounce everything else, all of the creatures, well, that's just fine. You now have control of the board. Well done. Standard is too slow. It's not going to see you play. But in limited stuff, yeah, card's amazing. If you can get there, keep in mind it's 7 mana, so you need to get to 7. But if you can get to 7, and you probably get to 7, play one of those. You know, you do need some big cards at the end. All right, Depart the Realm, 2 mana instant speed, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Foretell for 1. So it's okay. It's not exciting at all. I mean, unsummon. Sure, it's non-land permanent. It doesn't have to be a creature, but you're paying extra, and you can pay less for it later, but then you have to invest 3 mana in it altogether. It's a funny card. Interesting, you know, example of foretell, but not good. Disdainful Stroke, reprint. Sweet. Just 2 mana, counters target thing with CMC 4 or greater. It's cool. It's nice to have it back in standard, I guess. Was it already in standard? It might have been. No, it was in Ravnica, so it wouldn't have been in standard because that's out. I think it was in Ravnica Legions. I could be wrong. It was one of those two sets. So that's cool. Yeah, it's a solid sideboard card. Don't play it in your limited pool. Don't do it. Just don't. But yeah, you'll play like 1 or 2 of these in the side, and if you play against like Gruul, you can counter the Henge. You can counter, well, not Lovestruck Beast. You can counter the Henge. You can counter Questing Beast if you want to. Wicked Wolf is a thing in like mono green food. You can obviously stop them with anything in Yorion, Doom Foretold, ECD, Dance of the Manse if they pay anything more than 1. Yeah, plenty of good targets for it. So yeah, solid sideboard card. Draugr, Thought Thief, 3 mana, 3/2 zombie rogue. It's kind of cool. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top card of target player's library. You can put the card in the graveyard. It's, I mean, kind of sort of Fate Seal. It's kind of weird. I guess it's worth noting you can target yourself if you want to just mill a card. Don't play this card. Just don't play this card. We're not playing this card. We're not playing this card. We're moving on. Frost Augur, 1 mana, 1/2 for a snow wizard. Human wizard. Human matters. You can pay a snow and tap it. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a snow card, reveal it. Put it into your hand. What I read here in constructed is a 1 mana, 1/2 tap draw card. Pay 1, tap draw card. Yeah, you know, because you can have snow lands. There's now, you know, snow creatures obviously, and there's also snow instants and sorceries. Draw a card. Just draw a card. Play 4 of these things. Draw more of them. Draw all the cards. They're pretty weak. Like, you know, it's gonna die. It dies very easy to many things, including Stomp. But as opposed to other more expensive things like, you know, 3 mana dies to 2 mana removal, this is a 1 mana creature. This is not a huge investment to get card advantage. You know, it's amazing. This card's disgusting. Let's see. In limited, you could try. I mean, if you have enough snow things, it's unlikely to happen, but it's nice that a lot of the things that are a lot of the snow cards don't require you to pay snow mana, but you just get a bonus effect if you paid snow into it. So this could still be, you could still play those cards in your limited pool and not have much of a drawback. Okay, Frost Peak. I almost said Frost Speak. I'm like, are you speaking the Frostmourne stuff? I don't know. All right, 4 mana, 3/3. You pay 1 on a snow. Can't be blocked this turn. Standard's useless. If it was a giant, it could potentially see play, but no, it's a Yeti, so that's not helpful. And can't be blocked in limited kind of stuff. It's cool, actually. It's fine. You usually play one of these, and you don't feel too bad about it because you put your opponent on the clock. Even if you don't have the snow mana, the 4 mana 3/3 is bad. Actually, it's really bad, but it's tolerable. You don't hate to see it. Frostpire Arcanist. Okay, here we go. So 5 mana for a thick boy. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness, this guy's been doing. I'm gonna say is he squats. That's all I'm saying. All right, 5 mana 2/5. Giant Wizard. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a giant or a wizard. So you're probably gonna already have something out on the board. There are some giants that cost like 3 and up. Bone Crusher. There's also some other ones. So I think usually 3 mana you giant to the board. So it's probably gonna cost 4 instead of 5, which is pretty good. Curve out, play something else on turn 3, play this turn 5, turn 4. Turn 4. Turn, yeah, that's what I just said. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an instant sorcery card with the same name as a card in your graveyard. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. I mean, frantic inventory much, but otherwise, not really feeling it. What are you doing that you're playing so many copies of the thing? It's fine. Like, you can play this in some kind of, like, you know, play a counterspell, get another counterspell. There's even negate still that has cycling, so you can cycle earlier on to get it. But otherwise, and you can cycle other sorceries and stuff too. So maybe some kind of weird giant wizard cycling deck? That sounds strange. I don't like that. I don't like this card at all. Moving on. In limited, don't do it. In standard, also don't do it. Giant's Amulet. 1 mana equipment. Anything that costs 1, we pay attention to. Okay. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 4, so 5 mana total. If you do, you make a 4/4 giant wizard. It's blue, and then throw this on it, and it gets +1/+1. So you get a 4/5 hexproof as long as it's untapped, which is a very, very strange way to get something hexproof. I guess then you would be holding back the creature. I mean, so if you're going to play this and then pay the extra mana and have the creature on there, aside from just the turn it came out protecting itself, it's largely going to be tapped whenever it's going to be targeted with something. You're either attacking with it because you have a 4/5, you should be aggressive, and it's tapped, or not. You should be attacking with it. That's it. Declare attackers. It's tapped. During your opponent's entire turn, it's tapped. When you draw, during your upkeep, it gets untapped, and then you attack and it gets tapped again. So it's constantly going to be losing hexproof. If you're just playing it without paying the extra mana, then you could put it on something that's more of a wall, but I don't like that at all. No, this card's not that great. As long as it's untapped, it's such a weird way to do it. Like, if it was just has hexproof, then that'd be very good. But it doesn't. So unless there's some other way to untap things, there's like the X card. There's the first white card we reviewed that can boast untap itself. That is the only synergy I see here, and that's not very good. Obviously, if anything has vigilance, though, you're solid. So put this in a Lovestruck Beast. And now it has hexproof in addition to a million other keywords. Even though it's only costs 1 mana, this time I'm going to pass. Glimpse the Cosmos. This is a hell of a... This is a piece of work right here. 2 mana. Sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them to your hand, the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. So, okay, it's like anticipate, but worse. Okay, so that's not good. We already don't play anticipate, and this is just slower and worse in all ways. As long as you control a giant, you can cast this from your graveyard by paying 1 blue rather than playing its mana cost. If you cast Glimpse of the Cosmos this way, and it would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. If this ability did cost 1, then that'd be something. Then it's look at the top 3, add 1. This is draw a card for 1, but it's On 1 mana, this effect is good. On 2 mana, this effect is unplayable. So what we want to figure out then is how do we get this card in the graveyard so we can play it for 1 mana without playing it for 2 mana and feeling bad. It is worth noting here that, like I said before, like you need a giant, obviously, in order to get that benefit. And since giants usually start the game on turn 3, it's not too bad having, like, you know, this just as something to play earlier on, because most of your cards are going to be more expensive. But if your more impactful cards are coming later on, you're going to want to shore up that early game spot, like, you know, to make sure you don't just immediately lose the game and you're playing from the back foot entirely from turn 3 onwards. So any good way to get this thing in the graveyard? Don't think of anything giant related that can help us get this thing in the graveyard. Still can't think of anything else. Oh, I am not feeling this card. I want to make it work. I feel like there was this other card recently where it was like, you can maybe, like, if it's cast from anywhere other than your hand, then you get like a bonus. I forget what the card was, some weird blue thing that had a strange alternate, like, effect to if it was cast differently. And we just couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And I think there's a similar thing with this. I just think it's such a narrow thing that it just can't really. I guess if you were doing Dimir, then you'd only be playing blue giants, but largely it's blue and red. You could probably play like Tormenting Voice or something. Or is that the one? The one where you discard a card and draw 2. There's a Thrill of Possibility. I think that's what it is. That's the only way I see that happening. Come on, some kind of Izzet deck. I'll try. I like Izzet as my favorite 2-color combination, so I'll try. But in limited, don't play this card. Just don't play this card. Limited, do not play this card. It's such a huge tempo loss. I'll try. Graven Lore. Okay. 5 mana, snow instant. Scry X, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast this spell. Then draw 3 cards. So you remember Precognitive Perception back in Ravnica Allegiance? I remember in that Ravnica set specifically because I went to the pre-release for that one, and I didn't draw the card, but I was looking up the cards and, you know, doing my research. So that was 5 mana. With, if you cast it during your main phase, I think it was during your main phase, during your turn. I forget, it had the addendum where if you cast it, certainly not during your opponent's turn, then you get a bonus effect. Where basically, best case 5 mana, scry 3, draw 3. Usually it was 5 mana, draw 3, which Jace's ingenuity. Okay, cool. With potential upside, that's nice. That's all right. But it ended up seeing pretty much no play because it got punished super hard by what came out right after Ravnica Allegiance. Oh right, War of the Spark. Teferi came out, and Narset came out, and card draw was down, and Instance didn't actually see any play anymore. Yeah, those are gone now. And this, in the right deck, which you should be playing the right deck, you should have all the snowlands. I'm sorry, 5 mana, scry 5, draw 3. You can potentially go 8 cards deep into your deck. Like, how often are you in a tough spot? And obviously you're playing paper, you're playing like MTG Online, and you can like draw cards and look at your deck afterwards. Because in Arena you can't do that, but whatever. How often do you think that the card you need is going to be 8 cards down in the top 8? I think that's going to be pretty damn often, don't you? Like, we had a whole deck with Nexus of Fate where you would repeatedly activate Escanta, which looked like what, the top 5? You're looking at the top 8. This card is amazing. Oh my god, it's so good. You would even play this in limited, even if you only had like 1 or 2 snowman and you couldn't put too much towards it. Because guess what? Being able to draw 3 in limited and just like get that card advantage back is so impactful. In standard, this card is amazing and I love it. I'm gonna play like, oh, this is the reason. This is actually a reason to play snow. If the other cards haven't convinced you at all, which the other one, like the draw card, basically, imagine playing the little wizard that like lets you draw cards, drawing this, and then drawing, and then all runs just gets more powerful. All right, Icebind Pillar, 3 mana snow artifact. You can pay snow and tap it, and tap target artifact or creature. It's an artifact. I don't know why they couldn't just make this a wall, but I guess that'd be too much to deal with 2 things at once. You know, block, tap, and then, but no, yeah, that'd actually be fine. But it's not. It's just tap something. So I like the cost is only 1. This is snow mana, but it's just 1 instead of like pay 2 more and tap this in addition to that because that'd be too much. for like a snare effect, I think it is. It's okay. In limited, maybe you see some play. In standard, just not gonna see any play at all. Icebreaker Kraken look familiar. Ooh, I think people said he just wanted a hug. But anyway, 11 mana, 11. Wow, I said that like so convincingly. Some of you might have believed me for a second there. 12 mana, 8/8. But wait a minute, I had one snowland in place, so actually 11 mana. Here we go. It is a Kraken, which is a lovely creature type. Krakens, Leviathans, and just, you know, all the crazy worms are pretty cool too. Alright. When it enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. Okay, so you don't tap them, but they don't untap during the next step. Okay, we'll see. Return 3 snowlands you control to their owner's hand, and you can return this to your hand. So, with that first ability, I think I'll do the math for you. You can play it on turn, what, 6 is it? Yeah. Because you have 6 snowlands, it costs 6 less, so it costs 6 total. Because it's 12 total, yeah. So, you can play an 88 on turn 6, which should always be the case, because you should only be playing snowlands. Maybe Fabled Passage, yeah. You can search for basic lands, can't it? So, there are basic snows. I'm just saying, it's not a bad idea. I mean, maybe you throw a castle in there, so maybe you play turn 7. Oh, woe is me. The first ability there, or I guess the middle one, you know, not the cost reduction one, but, you know, keep things tapped. It's not super relevant, I don't think, but it's enough to, like, hey, guess what? I have an 8/8 body. Everything you attacked with now can't block next turn, swing for 8. And it also has that protection. I mean, you're only going to want to use that ability maybe, like, once. If they go to, you know, kill this thing, kill spell, okay, return 3, put this back in my hand. You know, in response to you activating that ability, another kill spell. Return 3 more lands. You do not want to put 6 lands back into your hand in the battlefield. Oh my god. And then you probably have to discard afterwards to do the hand size. And then you never play this card again, so just let it die, I guess is what I'm saying. Limited, it's amazing. I don't care if it costs so much. Actually, it's not amazing, because you have to draft all the snowlands. You probably can't even play this card. In limited, if you have at least, I'll say 5 snowlands in your pool, then consider it. Otherwise, it's just so much. It's gonna be dead in your hand so often. In standard, I actually don't think it's gonna see any play. It's cool for what it does. 6 mana 8/8 is nice in blue, which is not really an aggressive color. That's weird. And I don't see this seeing any play. This is not the oh god, what was that one? That was like the weird serpent thing where you can discard 3 cards and like you exile it and then you put it back in the battlefield afterwards. Oh, not Lockmere Serpent. It's like a sea serpent though. Damn, I can't remember what it's called. Slin Voda. There we go. This is not Slin Voda. This is, which was in itself a winning condition. This is something else. And with the number of creatures going out there with like Embercleave and stuff and Great Henge like buffing things and whatnot, it's possible that your opponent just plays a bigger creature and then you feel really silly. But it's fun. Maybe play one of these in like the top end of something. I think there may actually be a blue creatures deck. Just saying. If there is, this would go in it. Snowy blue creatures. Why the hell not? Ingarunize. This is not the creature going in your snowy blue creatures deck though. 4 mana 3/3 ETB Scry 3. Those aren't very fancy things. The Sage's Row Savant thing is terrible. I tried playing that once or twice. I regretted it immediately. I didn't actually have a better option. I just felt like it got unlucky. And then when she dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn. This is not a blue Midnight Reaper. This is a blue card that doesn't do anything. Why are you legendary? I guess if you have like 3 of these on the board and you get board wiped, then you draw 9. But since it's legendary, you're not going to have 3. Okay. No. No. Why? Why, Wizards? Why? Carfell Harbinger. I was going to say Harbringer. Like, no. There's no R in there. There's 2 R's, but not where you put them. All right. I guess 3 if you count Carfell. Alright, 2 mana, 1/3 zombie wizard. That's cool typing at least. You can tap, add 1 blue. Spend this only to foretell a card or cast a card, or cast an instant or sorcery. Okay, that's kind of neat. I mean, kind of weird blue mana creature. We don't really see those very often. If you're playing a foretell deck, sure. If you're playing this thing with the horse spirit that lets you foretell during your opponent's turn for cheap and whatnot, maybe. I think for blue, you just want to have card draw instead. Instead of ramping to get the cards down, I think you want to draw to get more cards. and then control the board from there and play all your creatures and go nuts. All right, so yeah, in limited, nope, and in standard, also nope. Lit Yara, I believe, because, you know, I think the J's are actually like H's, or Y's rather. Lit Yara, Lit Hara, that's what I actually said. Kinseekers, a 4-mana, 2/4 shapeshifter. Hey, you know what? We didn't actually have any white shapeshifters, which kind of makes sense. They're more of a green and blue kind of thing. Blue because they're like manipulative, and green because they're like one with nature and they can like change forms and stuff. All right, blue like cloning stuff, you know. So changeling, every creature type, all the time, no stops. When it's in your hand, it's every creature type. Exile, graveyard, in your deck, every creature type. Okay, I guess that means you can never play this with Kahira, because no, you can. Yeah, of course you can. Well, does it say it can only be like Cat, Nightmare, or whatever, or it says they have to? I think you. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that one. Let's see. When Yara Kinseekers enters the battlefield, if you control 3 or more creatures that share a creature type, but it puts some counter on this thing and then scry 1. So you can put this in a tribal thing and just end up being a 4-mana 3/5, which sounds okay in limited, but it's gonna be tough to have 3 creatures. Obviously, you just have 2 other creatures. This automatically shares a creature type with everything, so you don't have to worry about that. Just have 2 creatures share a type, and this comes down, and you're good. The scry one is alright, but it's not great. And standard, this is useless. This is not a good card at all. There are cheaper changelings. A big appeal to changelings is that it activates your other tribal things, so you want them to be cheap in standard, or have, you know, more meaningful things going on. This doesn't really do anything for you. In limited, it's okay. You don't ever want to play a 4-mana 2/4. That's so bad. So unless you have like a decent number of the same tribe going on, or a decent number of shapeshifters, get out of here. And once again, you can leave the house. You have been excommunicated from this address. Okay. 2-mana Mists of Lityara. Flash, enchant creature or vehicle, gets a -3, -0. It just kind of boring. I don't know, a little slime bind thing. Here you go. Slime bind, slime time. Look at that. Mists not doing a whole lot. Obviously, standard is useless. Limited, also pretty useless, not gonna lie. Not a fan. Alright, Mistwalker. Don't get trapped into thinking this is like the Bound in Gold or whatever, and like a pacifism effect. This is not. A creature is still on the board. It can still use its abilities or whatever. It can still block. This is not removal. Okay, Mistwalker, a 3-mana 1/4 changeling. Hey, look, it's cheaper than the other one, so it's okay. I like that it has wings, but it does not fly. Oh, it does. It's literally the next word is flying. I can't read. I can't read. Okay, after this review, I gotta take a break, and then I may be wearing different clothing. I might just, you know, whatever. I don't know what that means. All right. I just had to straighten out my tie, honestly. Okay. 2 mana gets +1 -1 till end of turn. So you can do this up to 3 times. The 4th time it kills it. You can do it a 4th time. It just doesn't. That's when it comes crashing down, I guess, from the skies, which I didn't think it was flying in. So you do it 3 times. It suddenly becomes a 4/1. Okay, I mean, this is decent limited. Actually, it's not too bad because you can like kind of size it appropriately. 2 mana is a bit to pay for it, but it seems fair. And fair cards don't win games. But if you're trying to do any sort of tribal thing, if you want to play that with this, it's not the worst thing in the world. The artwork here is actually really nice. I like the design for the changelings, for the shapeshifters. They seem to have like a whole lot of like tribal kind of swirly, like not tribal as in like creature types and stuff. I mean like kind of not like tribal tattoo kind of thing, you know? Geez. Standard, this card's useless, but in limited, like, this card's actually pretty just decent. It's not bad. Mystic Reflection. This card got some attention, and this is a weird card. This is a weird card. 2-mana instant, choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. So, the big thing with this, and you can foretell it, and it costs like it costs 1 less, so that's kind of cool. The foretell only costing 1 means, again, we should pay some attention, and for the very unique effect on this, so we should also pay attention. So ideally, there is a creature on the board, right? Otherwise it doesn't work. So say your opponent is playing mono green or something, or even Gruul, and they have the little Lovestruck Beast token, right? And then later on, they play the Lovestruck Beast. You play this thing, and you target their token, and instead of them having a 5/5, they now have another 1/1. It's not too bad. Your opponent plays Emeria's Call. You target some other thing. Instead of getting 2/4 for Flying Angels, I guess you would still get Indestructible on the turn, but whatever. Or until your turn comes around again. That ability is not tied to that. You get 2 whatever creatures. It's almost like a pseudo counterspell. This fits in this weird blue creature deck that I've been talking about, because you don't think about blue cards, think, okay, counterspell is card draw, some card advantage, stuff. You don't think about, like, I'm gonna play a big blue creature. Excuse me? What? Wizardrix. Look it up. But but maybe I could see this actually being like a counterspell card. You have to have a creature on the board, otherwise it's useless. So it's like, board wipe, play a big thing. Oh no, I'm dead. But yeah. So don't do it that way, but okay. If your opponent's not playing snow, you can give them the little like snow draw card guy. Although they should be playing snow. Even if they're not playing snow cards, play snow just like for this somewhat very, very fringe case. Oh, I actually really like this card a lot. In limited, don't play this card because it's going to be tricky. If you don't have any creatures, it's bad. If you give your, like, I feel like quite often you're going to be downgrading your opponents from like a 4/4 to a 3/3. Like, it's not going to be a huge, not going to be a very impactful spell. I think in standard this card's amazing. Okay, there we go. I'm going to die on this card. This card is going to see play. It's going to get there. Blue creatures are going to be a thing. Here's one of them. 4 mana for a 3/3 changeling. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, make a token that's a copy of target permanent. So this thing likes to make copies of things, including tentacles coming out of the ground, apparently. Copy! I don't know, whatever. I think it's just like kind of petting. It's like, yes, good tentacle. Embrace the tentacle. Aside from this thing being mythic, which I feel like this could have been rare, and it would have been, like, fine. I feel like I'm being kind of, brainwashed by the mythic things. Like, oh, look at that orange little set symbol there. It must be good. But, there you go. Look at that. Oh my god, it's so good. What do we do? Oh! Okay, there we go. I interacted. So let's see. So you have to target things you control. And then when you do, you make copies of the things and they go crazy. If you have to discard something, which is very, very narrow, I guess Crocs is really the only relevant thing going on nowadays, then you can also make a copy of a target thing. What are you targeting your own things with? Instant or sorcery things. All right. What are you using instant or sorcery to target your own creatures with? Buff spells? You can use a bounce? I guess you could potentially, like, use an unsummon effect, bounce your creature, makes a copy of it. If your opponent was trying to kill it, it basically counters the kill on that thing, and you still have the creature on the board. It's not terrible. And if it has any sort of ETB thing, you actually get the ETB from the token, then you have the card in your hand again, you can play it again. It's going to be you're going to have a lot of those effects. They have to be very, very strong, otherwise this card is not worth it. In limited, this card is not worth it. In standard, it's going to be a very, very specific deck this card could fit into. Changeling is nice, just it gives it the additional ability that it could fit into something tribal. I think it's largely just a changeling for flavor, although it could be like a wizard's kind of thing. Wizard's deck, you can put in the giant deck, maybe? How often do you target your own giants, though? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm gonna try. I don't think this card is going... It's not gonna be like a splashable thing, obviously. This is going to see very, very narrow play, if any. Probably none. Probably none. Pilfering Hawk. As I round the 15-minute mark. Okay, come on, I can do this. Sub-hour. Pilfering Hawk, 2 mana, 1/2 flyer for some snow. You can loot. Kind of boring. No. Moving on. Raven form. Oh god. Of course, another one where blue makes no sense. What color are you? All right. 3 mana sorcery. Exile target artifact or creature is controller makes a 1/1 bird. You could foretell and cost 1. It's a sorcery speed thing, but 1 mana turn a thing into a bird. Artifacts, you can target the Great Henge, you can target whatever creature they have in the board that got them the henge, you can target whatever the hell you want, make it into everything becomes birds. Suddenly you're birds. This is birds. You see that? Bird is a bird. You see this? Is this a bird? I don't know. Is this? What are we? What? What? Ah. I mean, I don't know why you're doing. I don't know why this card exists. It's good. It's a little too good. I don't know why it's so good. I mean, it's definitely going to see some sideboard play, if not main board play. What the hell? Why? Reflections of Yara. I have to keep going past that card. I think the card's fantastic. I just can't look at it anymore. 5 mana. It's like my brain's turning into a bird. As Reflections of Yara enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. A copy of a permanent becomes a token. So I guess the important thing with like creature type thing is if you go back into like tribal sorceries and stuff, where there were like tribal non-creature spells, where if it's like search your library for an elf card, you can search one even though it wasn't actually a creature. Whatever. I don't think this is actually relevant to this set and stuff, this kind of format. But let's see, I mean, you make copies, so every creature, if you're playing a tribal thing, you get 2 creatures, but it costs 5. So, God, do we like this card at all? It costs a lot, and then you kind of play creatures. I think you could play this in like a Giants deck, because the idea is you want to have Giants on the board. So board wipe and you're screwed. Oh, board wipe, you're still screwed, but now you have more Giants, and they're already big, so you're already playing big things, so why not play more big things? Outside of that, I don't see this seeing any play at all. In limited, if you can get there, this actually is amazing because every creature you play is 2 creatures. If you have the tribal thing going, all changelings, of course, trigger it immediately. Yeah, really nice. Damn, this is not Mirror March, but this is in some cases better. All right, run ashore, 6 mana, choose one or both. Either the owner of target online permanent puts it on top or bottom of the library, or you can also return target online permanent to its owner's hand, so you can bounce, and then your opponent also does a little Aether Gust effect. In limited is fine, in standard, no, it's useless, but in limited it's okay. Just kind of typical little multiple, target 2 things and they get off the battlefield effect from blue. Rune of Flight. Yes, the runes. 2 mana, target a permanent, enchant a permanent, draw a card either way, no matter what. Gives flying on a creature, or makes an equipment also can give flying. Not fancy. If this would only go in a rune deck, you would not play this outside of the utility of it being a rune that you can get with the Rune Forge Champion, which means it's also going to be a white deck. So Azorius, maybe you could Azorius Flyers, because they already don't have flying. You can give other things. You keep your Flyers flying. No, useless there. You can give a land flying. You put it on Crawling Barrens, and then suddenly it becomes a creature and it flies now. It's not the worst thought, not the worst use for it, but this is definitely not one of the more interesting runes. Although, if you have like an Azorius Auras deck, that would actually work pretty well, because flying is very nice to put on things that are getting buffed out of their minds. So yeah, in limited, you could do this in limited, because flying is a relevant keyword there, and the fact that it replaces itself is pretty sweet. Worst case, you have no creatures, you still put this on a land, by the way. Ideally in equipment, so you can still use the effect later on, but yeah. Okay, saw it coming. 3 mana, counter target spell, or you can foretell, and you get a counter spell out of it. I like this. Oh, is it bad that I like this card? Is it bad that I really like this card? It's so bad that I like this card. This card is so it's just not bad at all. There's nothing wrong with this card. Yeah. And the fact that you're probably going to be playing the card draw spell as well, with Nico on the front, where it's like draw 2, scry 2, means your opponent's gonna have to guess, well, is it card draw or is it a counter spell? And if you already have a decent like board state, you don't need the card draw, so you play the counter spell. If you're kind of not feeling too good and you need to get back in the game, it's too late for the counter spell usually, so you play the card draw spell. But your opponent has to play the little mind game. Which one is it? Oh my goodness, and there could be even more foretell cards. Oh my god. This card is fantastic. I love it. I would even play this in limited. Usually counter spells in limited kind of fizzle out and don't really do much. This is great. This is how predictable indeed. It's obviously. Strategic planning. Alright, there you go, Odin. Oh, sorry, Allruns, no. He has a third eye. Oh. Didn't see that the first time. Now it's cursed. Great. Or maybe just me. No, you're cursed too. We're all cursed. You know, it's one of those. Go back to the mummy. This is cursed. That's cursed. Everything is cursed to you, and then they get dissolved. 2 mana sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. 1 into your hand. The rest into your graveyard. The reason this card is slightly better than the other one is because the cards go into your graveyard. Better than anticipate. Goes to the graveyard. That is very, very relevant. I guess you could play this with the other one, where if you have a giant, you could play from the grave. So you play this, you actively put the other one's glimpse of the unfathomable big eyeball statue. I don't know what it's called. You pick not those cards, so they go to the grave. Yeah. That deck is going to be very, very bad, though. I'm not even going to... I mean, they both cost 2, so you're competing for a spot. But you can play this on turn 2. And play a giant turn 3 and then play that for 1 because you don't want to play that on turn 2, so you want to play this. God, it only goes in that deck, and unfortunately, this is one of the few ways to get the card in the graveyard. So I don't think there's enough effects to actually get that in there unless you're playing black. But you want to play blue and red. You can try to play Grixis, but usually the Grixis pile is better than whatever pile of nonsense you're putting together that way. Not a huge fan. I like it. This might see some play in some of the formats just because things go to the graveyard, but I don't think I have enough graveyard synergy in standard right now to have it see play. It's funny because we actually have freaking escape is like a huge graveyard thing. We still don't do it. What are you gonna do? Only Croxa. I guess this could see playing like Grixis with Croxa, and that is a giant. Maybe. Okay. Undersea Invader. This is... the idea behind this card is funny. 6 mana, 5/6 flash, enters tapped. Not what you want to see in a flash creature, but okay, sure, I guess you can surprise your opponent when you end up attacking with it. The fact that it's a giant rogue is hilarious. I guess you can also, like, you know, play it and get your giant synergies to go off, and then it's your turn, you can get whatever payoffs there. In limited, it's actually pretty funny, and I would definitely play this in limited, even though, keep in mind, it enters tap so you can't block with it right away. In standard, this card's bad, but it's so funny. And we're done! Sub-hour, 57 minutes. Yeah! That's right, you're damn right I did that. Alright, awesome. Well, then I think I gotta go. I'm actually getting pretty hungry, getting pretty thirsty. These pretzels are making me thirsty. Where are the pretzels? I don't know. Where's the Seinfeld joke? I'm only like 10 years too late. But when in doubt, pinky out. Okay, so... thank you very much for watching this. I'm sorry I tend to ramble on for a while, but there's a lot of thought going into things. I'm thinking hard. So, without further ado, thank you so much. I'm going to try to put some more like gameplay videos on there. We'll see how things go. Looking forward to Kaldheim. Good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. But as always, good luck.